Hello, my name's Alan with All About Stocks. So I tried to figure out a way I could show y'all how to do this. I can't. The best way I can do this is on my phone. And these are just some political comments from other people. So this is, I'm not going to say their name. I was talking to someone on YouTube or making comments, reviews, or whatever you want to make or say, post. Um, so this person said this is a conversation. We'll just go in it. They said China is committed. China is committed to a peaceful reunification. They will allow Taiwan to be an autonomous region, one country, two systems, but they will not allow Taiwan to separate and then be turned into a USA military base threatening to be a mainland. Okay. Now, Japan used Taiwan as an unsinkable aircraft carrier to be in. I'm sorry, this is multiple comments. Same person. So Japan used Taiwan as an unsinkable aircraft carrier to invade and be bombed by China during World War II. USA used Taiwan as a military base to attack Korea and threaten Taiwan with nuclear weapons. And they told me to learn my history and before talking nonsense. China will not allow Taiwan to be turned into a hostile military base. They went on to say, let's see here, China is launching rockets into space multiple times a week. They will build in military, or they built their own space station when USA refused to join ISS. Taiwan is part of China. USA agreed, but now is trying to use them as a proxy war. USA is crumbling empire warmonger, while China is rising, developing. And then they said they love Z, or Chi, however you say that, XI. Long live China. This is same person, all this is. And they're replying to me directly. China doesn't need your charity. Taiwan is part of China. Under international law, USA signed an agreement affirming that Taiwan is part of China. And that's all that I could pull up from that conversation. So I tried to pull up the entire conversation, but as the conversation went on, it seemed almost that Google was hiding the conversation. I went back as far as I could, and I wasn't able to pull it up any further. It was going on YouTube, and as it was going on, it almost like it was disappearing. So I don't really know what was taking place with it, but yeah. So I don't know if YouTube, Google was hiding it or what was taking place with that. Now, a little bit more of a political based thought here. If y'all remember back in, I guess it's 2019, 2020, back when McDonald's, I think the federal minimum wage is currently sitting at uh, 7.25. It might be 8.25 an hour. Not 100% sure. So a fast pause, and the federal minimum wage is 7.25 an hour. So, anyways, McDonald's was in all paying probably most of their company's minimum wage, or employees' minimum wage. Now, I believe this was going on in 2019, 2020. I'm not 100% sure the year. But McDonald's employees were protesting. They were going and saying that they deserve a living wage. And I'm sure most people remember this. And they were saying they deserve $15 an hour. And this was a big thing at the time. Now, a lot of the news networks were saying, that was McDonald's fast food restaurants. That was not for you to start, or that's not for a living wage. That's for a starter job. Now, I'm not saying that, or I'm not trying to say one way or another what job is for what. But what I'm trying to say that is when that happened was the beginning of wage inflation. And when McDonald's first gave the wage increase to $15 an hour was when everyone first experienced wage inflation. Now that was, I believe it was before COVID, and I'm not 100% sure it was, just because a lot of things have happened and my memory is not perfect. But like I said, I believe it was 2019, so if that's correct, it would have been before COVID. And I'm too lazy to Google it. But now, I do know California just passed this this fast food act, or fast food bill, that now is going to give their employees a minimum wage of $22 an hour. This would be another example of wage inflation. So in California, and I'm not sure when this takes place, and I want to say it starts next month, or I believe it starts next month. It might be next year. Since I don't live in California, it doesn't really affect me, but in a way it does, due to the fact that this is another example of wage inflation. So the fact that everyone who works at fast food restaurants will be getting a raise. Every fast food restaurant will have to increase their prices. So once again, you'll have inflation in California. And since there's so much products that are passed through California, and that's trickled down throughout the country, you're going to see another form of inflation. Now, we could use, let's say, the East Coast, but we don't. We should, but if we did, you're still going to see more inflation. Now, the reason we don't use the East Coast is because everything is built and produced through China. We shouldn't be using China, one, because China right now is probably our number one enemy, and they're trying to take over Taiwan, and they're buying a lot of oil. They're saving their oil, and They're wanting to take over Taiwan. They're stockpiling nuclear weapons. They're building up their military. They have what looks to be a um, military strategy on they wanting to take out Taiwan, Japan, Midland, and possibly Hawaii. So they are prepared to invade not just Taiwan, but a Pacific invasion, and that's just the Pacific. Now, they do have plans for a land invasion, but I'm not too certain on their land invasion. I believe it's a like Vietnam and India type invasion, but I haven't got too much detail on that. I've been more looking into what's going on with Russia and all that. So I'm just trying to look at the Pacific and Russia. So I'm sorry, I'll try to get more information on that. Now, as far as so, I got notes. So, here's something that you might want to consider. Now, China, very big topic, and if you're not up to date about China, you should very well get up to date about China. So for the next few years, China is going to be the big topic. Now, I know everyone's talking about Russia. Now, Russia may become a big topic, especially with them attacking a nuclear power plant. And that just proves the fact that they're not afraid to use nuclear weapons or weapons of mass destruction. However, China is saving and buying oil from Russia. And if China is, if China is buying all this oil from Russia, then that means that they are also preparing for war. Because, of course, Russia is at war, and China has already stated that they are planning to invade Taiwan by the latest winter. Now, the scary thing about China is China has a very large population. We're talking, let's say, 1 billion people. Now, they're doing the lockdowns, and we're finding or China's finding a dozen people in a city of, let's say, 1 million, 2 million people. Now, the scary thing about that is if they do happen not to do these lockdowns, and then all of a sudden multiple people do get COVID, then COVID could spread like wildfire. All of a sudden, then you have multiple strains in these cities, and then from city to city, let's say Beijing to, I don't know China too well, but you get multiple cities, and then it's going from all over China, and China has 2 billion people. So you could very well easily get multiple variants, and all of a sudden China could get all the way, or the Chinese problem, the people in China, if COVID gets spread throughout China, it could very easily the COVID could easily spread from China to Japan, or China to Russia, or both. And with a war currently going on, then where COVID is already slowing down, it could easily start spreading worldwide again with multiple variants. Now, we already have multiple variants currently going on, but it could become even more variants, if I'm saying that right, even more variances. Now, those could become worse. They could be deadlier or untreatable, or uh, where you can't detect them, stuff like that. Now, the people in China, they're thinking Z or however you say his name, is a horrible person for locking him down. However, and I understand. Don't get me wrong. I fully agree. It's a horrible thing to be locked down for 2-3 weeks. But at the same time, this is one of those things that I have to say that the bad guy is also kind of playing the hero, because if COVID was to get out of control in China, it could be a very devastating situation for the world. Now, we've already seen what happened when China, or not China, but COVID was unleashed upon the world. Now, what happens if it happened again? If COVID was unleashed upon the world again with new variances? Now, we don't, of course, know. We don't know if we could control it or protect ourselves. We just know that there were millions of people who did die from it. I lost a few friends, and I don't want to lose any more friends. Unfortunately, all we can ask is for the people in China who are being locked down is to please be patient. And if you or anyone else in any country is asked to be locked down, please be patient. I understand it's frustrating, and you know, please be patient. It's the best thing in most courses of action. Some political leaders might be doing it for the wrong reasons, and unfortunately, I have the feeling that in China it might be for the wrong reasons, but let's hopefully be hopeful that in China it's for the right reason. Now, moving on. So, moving on now, I'm reading reviews, I'm reading posts. Now, I wasn't able to pull them all up, and a lot of these are due to the fact that some of them are older, and I haven't been able to, or I haven't made a video in a while, kind of been taking a break. So, something that's came to light, it hasn't really been recent, but the student loans, a lot of people are very excited. They're getting $10,000 in student loans paid back by the U.S. government, and $20,000 paid back if you got a Pell Grant. Now, my wife, she did take she took student loans. I worked, paid back my student loans. This created a disparity in our household. Now, we disagree about the student loan. I worked, she did not, and now the government is saying, "Hey, don't worry about it." Now, this is something I personally wrote and I put on for a comment. Now, with this, the government is saying, "Hey, don't worry about it," and I'm not going to read my entire post. I'm just going to put on this. My thought process especially with the government or with marriages, is don't talk about it in your household if it becomes a problem. If you want to have a good marriage, don't talk about it. We don't talk about ours. We don't talk about anything involving the student loan, but we do talk about politics. We The reason we don't talk about the student loan thing is because of the politics forcing it upon our household. We have a great marriage. We know that we have to pay back student loans. That's not the problem. Now, the politics we talk about, we enjoy talking about politics. Now, the problem with politics that we feel is that there's only two decisions. There's the Democrats, the Republicans, and both parties are chosen for baby boomers. We believe that if our choice, our voice is going to be heard, then either we need to get one of us or one of our generation in on a Democrat or a Republican, or we need to get a third party in there. I know the screen's freezing up. I do apologize. I'm working on getting a new computer, and it will help tremendously, I promise. And that is a goal I do have. Please work with me, and that's part of the reason I haven't been making a lot of videos is because of the computer. So it's a goal I have is to get a new computer. But anyways, that is a important issue, and that's something that no other country who has a democracy is limited to is two parties. Now you got to ask yourself, if you don't like one candidate and you don't like the other candidate, why do you have the choice of either bad or worse? Shouldn't you have another choice? And then shouldn't you have a choice of someone in your generation? Shouldn't you have a choice of the other guy outside of, well, this generation or this dictator? Or, I've been trying to spread the word of a third party candidate throughout the internet, but it's fallen on deaf ears. If you do like the idea of a third party, or you do like the idea of our generation, I've been trying to say I'd run. If you don't like the idea of me running, which I don't blame you, I've been trying to say Ben Shapiro, he seems like he'd be a fantastic candidate for president. He isn't asking to run, but I'm trying to say, hey, let's try to get him to. All right, that's all I got for you. I, as far as the stock market today, I always say that I'm going to put something up there for the stock market every day or every time I put up a video. So, since I've done just about all of this over my phone, I'm going to recommend that you take a look at Volta. That's VLTA as the ticker, and it's Volta, VOLTA, is the stock. Now, I believe it's an unknown EV charger. Now, I haven't done much in regards of looking at it or information on it, research. However, I don't believe anyone else has either. Now, it's currently trading at just over $2, 203 right now. Now it's basically looks like ChargePoint. I did a video on ChargePoint the other day, and I'll tell you right here, it says primarily owns, operates, and maintains electric vehicles, and it has expanded its network across the United States. So Volta at $2, I would take a look at it. Now, happy trading and best of luck. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, share the video. Happy trading.